Hello, everybody. Great that you were able to join, or are able to join. My name is Michael Stoll, and I'm teaching information design now for 20 years at Augsburg University of Applied Sciences in Bavaria, in Germany. And as you know, Bavaria, of course, is the best part of Germany. And beside this, I'm also collecting historical information graphics, as you can see from the setup behind me. And teaching is not limited to Augsburg alone. I'm also teaching in Switzerland, together with Nicole, by the way, in the certificate program of Bern University, but also in Lucerne in 2 courses. And these are illustration nonfiction on one hand, but also a very interesting course that is called Data Design and Art. And this program is wandering between applied data design and data art, with the goal of pushing the boundaries of visual representation in data visualization. And I think that's a very unique approach to the field. Sorry, and I really love to teach there. Today, I'm sharing pieces from my collection that visualize qualitative data. These visualizations try to answer questions like, what is it that is depicted? Questions about the inner life of objects, how things are put together and work together, and how they work at all. Very often, it is about showing complex relationships, but even more about making these relationships accessible and breaking them down in a way that they are not only understood, but also remembered and stick with you as an audience. So you can really sense that the didactic aspects of mediation are, on the author's side, a challenge in themselves. Not to mention the challenge of creating attention, fascination, and in the best way, immersion on the user side, and sustaining that over a long period of time. If you look at the history of information design, you'll find some truly remarkable examples. Being limited to 20 minutes alone, I will share some of the books that I have in my collection and like to share the fascination that these different approaches holding till today. So for you, I'm showing the original works using my overhead camera. And with this, I'm trying to share my screen with you. Just a second. And what you're going to see is a mess first. So I hope you can see that screen now. You're seeing my keyboard. I'm taking away that keyboard. I have some tools that I'm going to use later on. But first, the first book I'd like to share with you is from 1851. And it's an astronomical kind of atlas. It's a loose page collection by John Emsley, here in a German edition. And that was used in schools to educate pupils about astronomical facts. And if you look at that, there are a lot of nice single pages in it. And I would like to take out these 3 and tell you a bit why they are so fascinating and why they are so rarely available nowadays. They were used in schools to teach pupils. And back then, 1850 something, they only had candles in classroom, and they were needed, and I will show you why. So here you see a light table that I will illuminate. And if you look at these now, you see that these are transparent areas. And if I want to turn that page, and you can see the cutout pieces and the yellow transparent paper behind. So this is really fascinating. And the same applies to the moon that illuminates. Let me turn that off. You could show that without illumination and with illumination. So here again, the back side is covered with a yellow transparent paper, and it's printed on this side. And the third one, that is the size of the planets, same applies here. And you can see how pupils would be fascinated by holding this against a burning candle in their classroom. And you can also imagine how some of these sheets burned down immediately. So that was the first piece. And the second piece is from 1902 and shows you the human eye in break-apart graphics. And the thing here is that you could open that, read a lot about the human eye, but the fascinating thing happens at the end of the book, where you could unfold a flap that holds a visualization of the eye. And with your own speed, with your own path, you could unfold it, this slide layer by layer, and I will do that for you. And you think, oh, maybe I can imagine how that goes, but it's really complicated and multi-layered. So look at that. So, and that's why I need the tools here. And this goes step by step, and you can backfold this part. And even some parts are made of transparent paper. You can see me moving my tool underneath. So that was transparent paper over here. And if we pull apart or aside the muscles of the eyeball, it goes on and on and on. And it is really interesting to immerse in this type of visualization that could keep you entertained hours by hours. And, you know, I forgot how to put it back together. And this happened to many of these copies where people then simply pulled it together somehow and then said, oh yeah, that will fit. And then they would close it. So this was the second one. And while this book tries to resemble a layer by layer breaking apart of the human eye, the next example that I would like to show you takes a slightly different approach. This is a book about new animal cure methods from 1923, which is a rather regular handbook with regular illustrations in it. But now and then you have flap inlays like this. And I'd like to share the cow with you because I love cows. They're very common in Bavaria and also in Switzerland, by the way. And the interesting thing here is that you can have also these flaps that you can pull aside. But in opposite to the book about the eye that I showed earlier, this takes a different approach because the areas are sorted topic-wise. So on the left side, it's all about the bones, and this about the veins and the blood circle. And if I would move that to the right, this is all about the muscles on the right side. And after I pulled away these two flaps, it still goes on and on through the inner organs of the cow. Oh, I flipped two at once. Look. Here and here and on and on. And I think this is really fascinating, an immersive approach. And the important thing is that you are able to learn at a speed that you really like and that supports the understanding of these complicated animals. But then there's another book where they took that approach one step further. And it is this publication from 1901 called Steam and Electricity at the Beginning of the 20th Century by Walter Henschel Clermont. And this publication, of course, breathes Art Deco at large. And it has a supplementary booklet with a lot of text in it and some diagrams. And it has what you know, of course, flaps to flap away. So this is how that engine would work. But on one page, and I marked it with a white piece of paper here, they took it one step further. It's not only to show the different parts of this steam engine, but they try to mimic the mechanical operation of this. And if you look closely, you can see that arrow pointing up here. And if I move this, and I will do that in a second, you will see how the piston will go in and out and in and out. So watch closely as I move this. Oh, maybe I have to do it with my hand here. This is all made of paper, and this piston is running in paper rails. So it's not only that layer thing that you know already, but it's to mimic the work of the piston. I think this helps really understanding this machine. Well, around the 1930s, things got worse, also in Germany, but all over the world. And the money was not available to carry on with this type of thing. So people tried to look up different approaches to showing layered objects. And I would like to share with you a brochure that was, and I have to admit that, in one of the darkest times of Germany during the Third Reich. And that is also why I'm covering the swastika here. This is an advertising brochure that will advertise the new Volkswagen Beetle. And it's printed in a very special way, and I'd like to show you how that is. And as you can see from the reflections here, it is printed on cellophane foils or paper, or if you want to. And you could go through and dismantle this Volkswagen layer by layer. And the interesting thing, of course, is that it reveals the 5 people sitting in that car. But you can see while I'm turning the page that it's front and back printed, while it is still transparent at some point. So let's turn that to the next. And you may wonder what this is. It looks like the chassis, the metal parts of the car. But when I turn that one more time, you will see the really interesting approach. And some of the viewers know that probably because I showed it many times. So this is a bird's eye view from top onto that car. And if I turn the page, you see what happens on the other side. That's, well, a frog's view onto the car at the same time, using the same printed area as the other side. And I think that is really fantastic for that time. And so I could go through page by page until in the end, the car would be in a complete view from underneath. So this is something I could do for days and days to skim through this brochure, because this is really an outstanding approach to show the bird's perspective and the frog's perspective, if you want. Well, and then that way of showing stuff to people declined more and more. But my last piece I'd like to share with you is one from the 1970s that was used, I have to unpack it, that was used in combination with overhead projectors. They projected something on a screen in a classroom. So this actually is a model, and I will turn on my background again, so maybe not that much, maybe like this, yes. And the interesting thing here is, or maybe I'll start with the lights off. What you can see is a handle, and I will turn that handle in a second. But what you also, or maybe hardly see, is a set of gears of transparent acrylic in the background. And this will disappear as soon as I would turn on the light. And then I can turn that handle, and it would show a kind of an early interactive animation of how the cylinder of a diesel engine would work. This is really fascinating, and it's not the topic of today, but these historic books inspire me and my students. And to pick up the question of Paul Kahn from the earlier talk, I think this could be a basis to write the book of the 21st century. So with this, I would like to thank you for your attention. But last but not least, you might want to take out your smartphones and scan this QR code that will lead you to a booklet that I pulled together from my collection with 2 short texts about the collection, and maybe you're interested to download it. It's a PDF, and it's a direct link to the PDF. So thank you very much. And I don't want to say goodbye without inviting you to Augsburg for any reason, of course, but foremost for visiting my collection, seeing my collection, and visiting me. Thank you very much.